That's now on. Demi's immediately turned his camera off. You look great
Oh,
today. You look
no,
great today.
no, no. Um, I was digging into this box of cookies. I didn't want to. Oh wait, put that on
We
the
can't
screen.
see them. We can't see them because of the zoom blurring thing. Anyway, come on, let's see. What are you snacking on? Oh, they look good. I haven't had my breakfast yet, so that is yeah. You should turn your camera off if you're eating. That's not fair.
Me neither.
So, well, that's one of the benefits of mobbing is maybe we can briefly disappear for a moment and get some food at some point. But yeah, so now the stream's on. Hi viewers. Let's do quick introductions. I'm Matt Wynn. I am co-lead for Cucumber Project, and we're here doing a new contributors mob. So this is to welcome some new contributors to Cucumber and help them get onboarded, and also to demonstrate to all of you how you make new contributions to open source, and give you the idea that it's for everyone. It's not just for a privileged few. And I'm here with we're lucky this week we've got David Goss, who is the lead for Cucumber JS, which is good because I have no idea what I'm doing, but David does, so that'll be good. Do you want to say anything, David?
I think you got it about covered. Yeah, no, I've been working on Cucumber JS for a couple of years, so yeah, nice to see everyone here.
And then we've got Emmanuel Ola, or Demi, as he likes to be known.
Yes.
And you're a college student. I still can't remember where it is. You're at college somewhere on the East Coast, right?
Right. Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Worcester. So like Worcester, England.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, the Worcester sauce. Yeah, Worcestershire. Yes, I remember now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and we've been working on an issue over the last few weeks, last few sessions for you, Demi, where we just discovered that Cucumber JS was doing something funky with stack traces and paths and ripping out parentheses, which meant that you couldn't work on Cucumber JS on your dev setup. So we'll probably work on that today. And then, Sheriff, you're new. You just popped into Slack yesterday. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you want to say? So you said you were from Algeria. Tell us a bit more about how you've come to Cucumber.
Yeah, so actually I'm on Slack a long time ago. I played with Cucumber JS and a bit with the Cucumber JVM on Kotlin, even if I'm not seasoned Kotlin developer, but mostly JavaScript developer. I was not really active on Slack, and yesterday I saw your tweet, and I really enjoy helping open source projects to go forward. I hope I will be a good help for you.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Welcome. So, Demi, are we going to use your machine to drive? Are you happy to drive? Yeah, great. Do you want to share screen then?
I'm just gonna pull up the code before I do, just so I don't spend time rambling trying to search for it. So would you like me to open both the working version of it and the non-working version?
That's probably a good idea, isn't it? Just to give everybody context about what's happening.
Sounds good. All right, there we go. So this
Editing evolved.
should
That's new, isn't it? That strap line on VS Code. I've not seen that before.
all right. Well, this should be the version of it that doesn't work quite well. And I'm gonna test that right now. All right.
So what do we see here? Is that
So this is in the path that doesn't this.
different? Yeah. That's maybe just like some linting from errors from any editing you've done on it. Maybe can you just do git
I'd
reset
imagine.
hard?
Yeah.
Dash hard. Sorry, Demi. So try running it again. See if that's sorted it. Do you use VS Code, David? As your editor?
I don't. I use WebStorm, which which puts me in a minority in JavaScript like these days, I think. But
Yeah, I've oscillated between the two over the years. I'm on VS Code at the moment. They both have strengths and weaknesses. So it's still doing the same thing, is it?
So where are you seeing tests failing? Was it like the feature tests?
Yeah.
We could just jump right to those if you want. If you do, I think like yarn feature -test, it will not bother with the rest and just do the.
Is it feature : test? Cheers, Sheriff. Come back anytime if you want to just pop back on. We'll be here for like next 90 minutes or so.
Yeah, just like feature -test, one word that points to that script, and then just worry about those ones.
Is that must be some debugging stuff that we've added? Is it all that stuff getting spat out there? What's going on there?
Yeah.
I thought we did git reset hard though. We added it in a commit. We're on this because this is like where we were at the other day, isn't it? When we were working on it.
Right.
Yeah, and we were like adding debug statements to try and it actually looks like it. Yeah, no, okay. So 2 failed. Is that all? I thought it was more than that for you, and we're gonna have to do a lot of scrolling to try and find it. So maybe I wonder if we can go back to just the main branch. Can you just type git status, Demi? So we just see if there's anything left. We're not going to lose anything. So maybe try git checkout main and then no dashes. So main's the name of the branch, the trunk branch, and you could do a git pull if you want, but it doesn't probably matter much. And then do that yarn test features again, or whatever it is, feature test.
It's npm now on main.
Oh yeah,
I think.
of course it is.
Someone did the other day. To be fair, I don't think it's a problem that you run it with yarn, because I think they're pretty interoperable. But you might need to just do npm install to bring the latest dependencies in. That's just where a library's changed there. So if you just npm install, you should be okay.
I always think about there's these 3 truths in Buddhism, and one of them is everything's always changing. And I always think about that one when like especially in the context, well, we were having this conversation yesterday, weren't we, about npm and the Node ecosystem, but just in software generally, but open source and Node, like it is just a constant. You always feel a bit behind. There's always something's changed. Yeah,
Right.
Here we go.
And that sounds about right.
So do you want to show the errors to David so he can see what?
Oh yeah, I just want to do the same thing for the other repos, just so we can show.
To show that it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, so it dropped the parentheses around the wpi.edu. Yeah, there you go. So in this case, all the tests passed, but in here,
All right. So yeah, how do what are those failures like?
what was that?
How does the problem manifest? What's sort of wrong? Is it just formatted output, or is it actually sort of failing to do something functionally?
Your mic is a little muffled, but you are you asking if something like it's failing in the output format or something?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm quiet. I've got some new equipment. I was saying, yeah, is it format to output not quite right, or is it functionally breaking something?
Oh, yeah. So I'm actually not exactly certain with that.
Look at the diff.
I think
Look at the diff in the. Scroll down
Right.
a little bit, Demi. You can see there where it does the plus and minuses on the left-hand side. So it's somehow, I think, because the path didn't match. It's printed out the whole. There's a point in it somewhere where it normalizes it to being relative, and it can't match it because it's got the brackets missing.
Right.
Do you see, David?
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And we sort of isolated it down to this one function. And the branch that we were working in last time has got that function. I like extracted that function out, and I tried to add some tests for it. And you can run the unit tests in. It's quite difficult to actually write a unit test for a thing that reads stack traces of file paths, just because it's a bit of a meta thing to be testing, or at least of caller paths. But what we did do was we sort of isolated down to a unit test that you could run in the one folder and then in the other project folder, and it would fail as it did it. But I don't know. I can't remember what we've left on your hard drive, Demi. That might I suppose there's a debugging stuff, probably, isn't there?
Yeah.
Can you remember how to run that one unit test? I wrote it in the GitHub ticket.
Are we in the right branch for it though?
Probably not anymore, no. Because we just switched to main, right?
Yes. Oh.
The branch is called Fix1735. Did you find it? Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at a different screen. And then the spec to run is in support code library builder, get definition line and URI spec. Yeah. So we isolated it down to this function, get definition line and URI. And yeah, so you can see all that logging in there. If you look at the actual implementation of function, do you want to just switch to the file, Demi? Because we tried out various different things. But we were trying out this stack chain library as a replacement for what's there currently. But I'm pretty sure the other library that we were using does understand source maps, but it didn't. It unfortunately it's got this parentheses bug. But I think we don't need to use either of them. And then we started playing around with doing like actual parsing of the strings, which I think is unnecessary. I wonder if we could almost roll back a commit, Demi. Do you want to show you see git log? What did we do as the last commit? Add regex patterns for stack traces, remove dependencies from stack frame library. I wonder if we should go back to the commit before. You could do what you could do in this branch is just so we can keep it in history. We could do git revert head, and then that'll add another commit that undoes the commit before. So we'll still have them there, and we could go back. We could have it and go back to it if necessary. But I wonder if we want to kind of go back to a fresh start without the debugging stuff in it, or we could just start from here. I don't know. What do you two think?
It seemed like we did make like some pretty good progress from last time. I mean, sort of right here, we're trying to see what the regex pattern was giving us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay. Well, let's start from where we are here then. That's cool. Yeah. That's cool with me. Maybe we should just try and run that one unit test, and then we've got a kind of a place to we can iterate.
All right.
So
What's the
I guess
unit test?
yarn run mocker, or is there a way to run a specific? So it's mocker,
I think
like
it's
the coffee.
I think
like
it's like
mock
yarn unit hyphen test. Yeah, I think you can probably you could probably pass through some commands to Mocha to run a specific name, but I don't know offhand what that is.
Or you could maybe give it the path to the file. That'll run all the unit tests. What you just did there.
Yeah.
If you right click the except it's not working. What does it do? What's it done wrong? Oh, because we're not right. So this is a good little open source thing. So what we've got here is a branch that was branched off from before we updated main. With the yarn to npm change. So I'm going to go slowly, and Demi, you've got to ask me all the questions to make sure this makes sense to you, and then it'll hopefully make sense to most of the people watching. So
Right.
we last worked on this branch that we're in now 2 or 3 weeks ago, and in the intervening 2 or 3 weeks, there have been changes in the main branch, which is what we were just looking at.
Right.
And so now our branch is kind of it's old, like it was branched off back here, but now things have moved on in the main branch, and we're still based off some old stuff. So at some point we've got to update ourselves to be containing the stuff that's happened since, because we'll never be able to merge our stuff back in really unless we do that. So we could carry on as we are in our little bubble for now, or we could bring ourselves back up to date.
I think we should bring ourselves up to date at this point.
Yeah. So it's always best to do that kind of thing early. And I would say, David, would you agree? I would just do just a normal git merge rather than try to rebase or anything fancy like that. So
yeah, I agree.
We should be able to
squash
do that
when we merge in anyway. So
yeah, so you could do it with this stuff, but you could also just type the git commands into your terminal, because the thing is you've pulled the main branch now. Yes, so you have the latest version of the main branch.
Right.
So yeah, that's exactly the right command. If you do git merge main, that will try to make a merge commit. And so now we've got a thing here that it doesn't know what to do about the yarn lock file, because you have a yarn lock file that's presumably been modified in this branch, and yet the main branch that you want to merge in is deleting that lock file. So it hasn't deleted it for you, just in case those changes you made were precious and you didn't want to lose them. But actually, you're lucky in this instance, because we can tell you, because we were witnessing those changes. We've got rid of that yarn lock file because we've switched the project from using yarn to using npm. So actually, we can delete it. We can happily delete it in the branch as well. I don't know what you need to do. If you type git status in the command line, it'll show you that you're in the middle of a merge, and it's got this unmerged path because it doesn't know what to do. So do you see it says use git add/rm file as appropriate to mark resolution. So once you've made your decision about whether you want to keep that file or remove it, so actually what we want to do here is rm it. Yeah. Perfect. And then try git status again. Right. So this is the merge, and now you can do a git commit of the merge. Yeah, and all of that stuff with the hash symbol in front of it is just comments. The thing it's going to commit to, that you're going to see in the git commit message, is this merge main into fix 173. Do you know do you know where you are right now? You know you're in Vim.
Yes.
Do you know how to get out of Vim?
No.
There's that famous Stack Overflow blog post where they they counted the number of people who were asking, what was it? It was about how to something about a Windows phone or how to get out of Vim, and there were more people trapped in Vim than using Windows phones. You need to press escape first. If you've got an escape key on your keyboard.
Yeah, done that.
Yeah, and then :X. X means exit with save in Vim. There, and yeah. So now it's going to be npm unit test, or is it npm run unit test?
Yeah. You might also just need to do an npm install first if you had changed some dependencies on your branch. Cool.
Just a sec, I've got a interruption here. I'm going to just mute. Actually not sure if that works because I've got another thing for my mic. I'm going to mute that as well.
Okay, cool. So there's our failure. Out of interest, I think Matt started to say this a minute ago, but if you right click on the tab in your editor for the test where it's get definition line, does it give you like a run test option? No. Okay, not to worry. But yeah, you can probably have a pass it into the terminal as an argument. But so yeah, what does that test look like, and the code that it's testing look like? Have we swapped in a different library? Is that sort of where we've got to so far?
Bro, I didn't realize I was on mute this entire time. What was that?
Yeah, you had these highlighted, so I guess you're just
right. And I think what happened was it was supposed to get flagged in, where was it? Line 11? Wait, was it line 11?
Well,
that may have changed.
It is on line 7. If you look at the test, the place where we call the function is on line 7. However, so the assertion on line 12 says, tell me that you got back line 7, but actually, for some reason, it's line 11. And if you go and look at the transpiled JavaScript source, it ends up it was on line 11 of the transpiled JavaScript source. So it looks like this new library that we changed over to doesn't understand source maps. So it's better than it was before, because the other tests are better than they were before, because they're only failing on the line number now, because the parenthesis stuff does work, but we've still got the line number on, so it's not good enough.
Okay, cool. So I guess there's a couple of ways we could go, right? One is this new different library that we've tried. We could see if we can make that work with source maps. The other thing is I was looking at StatTrace.js on GitHub, and I think, Matt, you said you sort of, I could at least sort of find the place where there seemed to be a bug with that.
Yeah.
I mean, unless I'm missing something, it's not very big. It's like a couple of hundred lines, and a lot of that is comments and UMD stuff. I mean, it probably wouldn't be a big thing just to pull it in and make the fix. That's another avenue we could try anyway.
Yeah, that was my original suggestion, and Aslak pointed out, well, do we even need it anymore as a library? And I think that is a valid thought, is that there's probably, I think from having read their source code and also looked around on Stack Overflow, I think there's now a way of, I'm a bit confused about the difference between V8 and Node.js, but there seems to be some syntax that's come from V8 that allows you to do this stuff really just using the standard libraries, and that maybe we don't need to use a third-party thing at all, and we could remove a dependency. But I just spoke possibly over you, Demi. What was your thoughts? You're muted, maybe.
Yeah. I definitely like the idea of trying to fix the stack trace JS library. The other thing was like the what we were trying to do last time with actually going through and seeing the stack frames and maybe creating our own stack frames. I just don't know how well that would go, because we did like stop just short of getting to the answer. But I don't know if that answer or that solution would have been like an actual concrete solution or a permanent solution to the problem.
Yeah, I mean, my reflection on that afterwards was it was a fun exercise to do together, but it seems like it should be unnecessary because I think that JavaScript is representing those stack frames as objects under the hood. It's just that the default behavior for historical reasons, I guess, of the error.stack property is that it renders it as a string. But there are ways of changing how you call JavaScript to actually get the underlying structured objects directly. And it would be a bit like convoluted to let JavaScript format it as a string for us and then reparse it back into a structured object. So we should probably just get the structured object directly.
Yeah, I think we should do that actually. Do you do any research as to like how we can actually get those objects? Which I think those objects were the call sign objects.
So there's a Stack Overflow post. I can maybe I should share my screen briefly and I'll just show it to you both rather than trying to send a link round. On this desktop, this browser. So this is linked from that GitHub issue, but what they do here is you have to overwrite the prepare stack trace function on the error object. So you do this hack where you like keep a handle of the original implementation of prepare stack trace, which you're then gonna put it back again later when you're done. And then once that's done, you can then set the prepare stack trace function to be just this really simple implementation where the second argument to the function is that structured object, and then you just return it. And that then means that when you call error.stack, new error.stack, the thing that you get back here is a structured object, and you can then do things on that like ask it what its receiver was and presumably its line number. Now, whether the line number is respecting what are they called, source maps, I don't know. So we might go down this rabbit hole and come back out the other end and then find that stack.line is still wrong and is line 11 rather than line 7, and I don't know where we'd be if that was what happened. But yeah, that's what it would look like to try and do that, is something like this. We'd need this kind of bit here instead of...
It's pretty neat, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's no problem, David, with having that overwritten, like briefly, is there? There's not any kind of like multi-threading that might be happening where use the land code, because this is always the thing we have to think about in
It's a good
Cucumber, because
question.
other
I mean,
people
yeah,
are using
there
our
is a lot
stuff.
of
And I'm
there is
pretty
a lot
sure
of
the
async
libraries underneath
stuff
are
going
doing.
on.
I'm pretty sure the third-party libraries that we're using, at least one of them is doing something a bit like this anyway. So.
Yeah, I think it's fine to let's give it a shot and see where we get. I got to admit, I'm not super familiar with the how this stuff works with V8. It'd be good to dig into. But yeah, I think like seeing where we get without a library dependency would be a good start, I think.
Okay. Right. So we decided we're going to give that a crack.
Yeah, and I actually was just
driving,
looking.
Demi.
Yeah, I was just looking at the prepare stack trace documentation just to understand exactly what it does. And yeah, it seems like it would get us what we need. It says it stores a array of call site objects, and I think what we just need is that one call site from the array of call site objects.
I just don't know, as to say, whether the line number is going to be right. What happens with prepare stack trace and line numbers. But I think there's certainly one way to find out, isn't there? The other way would be Googling. All right. Do you want to steal the screen share back off me? I can't actually find the Zoom buttons to quit the screen share, disturbingly.
Of course.
Oh, there it is.
All right. So do you want to do that function over, or do you want to create the function in here to get stack, or just do the function override in here instead of trying to return?
Yeah, I think we could probably write it all out in line. Do you want me to send you a link to that Stack Overflow post?
Sure, yeah.
I'll put it in the Zoom chat. Hold on. Zoom chat.
All right. All right. So at this point, we now have this error.stack. And just to be safe, we could override this debugging and just maybe even log what that error stack is. But
that seems like that would be a good start.
Doing it from the side?
It should be. I think it should be the same as what we've got in the stack frames.
Right.
On line 33 in theory. No, just literally stack. It'll be the same thing.
All right.
And then we could maybe uncomment the logging on line 33. That'll print it out. That's interesting. So it doesn't. No,
it's a string.
It thinks it's a string. So this is TypeScript, David. So do we need to as it on line 24? Because it believes that error.stack will be a string because that's what TypeScript's type for error is.
Yeah, looks like it.
So this is JavaScript here, so they're not going to help us with this problem. We're writing TypeScript.
Right.
So TypeScript has decided on line 24 that the type of stack must be a string because error.stack's property is a string, but actually we know it's going to be something else. It's going to be an array of these call site
How do you?
I think. So you can do it like that, yeah. Like you would in Java. So you could do array and then call site, the capital C call site, like we've got on line 40. Well, it is intentional. Oh, so we have to convert it to unknown.
Yeah, it doesn't want you to do it in one go if it's that much of a contradiction. So if you do as unknown and then as
array. Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
So give that a go.
Let's run it. Yeah, let's see what it is.
So
What I want to know is whether that one test that we wrote is passing or failing. Can you just run that one test? Can you?
how do I do that run test though?
I don't know. So what was the command you ran just now?
npm run unit test.
So try passing that as another argument. Source / support code library src. Sorry. Just press tab, like to get tab completion on the paths. src / like if you type sup and then tab. There you go, and then get underscore, and then is it underscore spec? Yeah, try that. No, it totally ignored us. Try instead of, so can you run that same command? Instead of, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing. I was going to say try and do npm run mocker, but that won't work. You'd have to do no.
I think you're pretty close. So like what you had in terms of specifying after that one test is good. I would try replacing npm run unit test with npx mocker.
Uh-huh.
So that's mocha as in the coffee.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then drop the unit test bit, and then just so it's just npx mocha and then that path.
Okay, so it is failing.
Well, that's good. What'd be good as well, and I don't know that much about VS Code, but it'd be good if you could actually run that in debug, and then you'd be able to actually sort of step through it in the editor. It'd be perfect, but I don't know.
Yeah. We might be able to make that work. If you do a JavaScript debug terminal, the second button down, that sometimes works. So you can run the same command in this terminal. You just copy it from your other terminal. Oh, you just killed it. Oh no, yeah, that one. Yeah, copy that command and run it. And but before you run it, like put a breakpoint on the. Somewhere. So you just tap in the gutter and on the left hand side of the editor. Yeah.
Yeah. Where though?
I don't know. What were you thinking, David? Like just after we've got the error.stack?
Yep.
So like maybe line 26.
Ooh.
So you're on that line now. So if you hover over the, you can do it as well. Yeah. I think there's a REPL somewhere you can just type things into as well. I'm not sure where that is though. Is it in the debug console?
Might be debug console.
See the tab on the right of where your terminal is there. So I think you can evaluate things in here. So like if you type in stack and then you press enter, so you're in like a live JavaScript environment where you can ask it questions.
So
try stack get file name.
All right.
That's pretty good. What about get line number? I bet it's 11. Get line number.
Oh.
I think there's a file number. 18. Wild.
Wait, but that's
from?
Is that the
call
set
get
that
definition?
Oh, yeah,
not
yeah,
even. So the file's not even the spec. The file is the. So this is like, maybe this is the actual line where we first called error.stack. Is it? So maybe you need to look at stack 1.
Yeah. Yeah, 11. Shoot.
So what other stuff have we got on each of these call site objects then? Is there anything that we could use to
it gives you column number, eval origin.
So we're back to where we were using the call site library or stack, whatever that other library was called, the most recent library. In that we haven't got it source mapped, so we're still looking at JavaScript line numbers rather than TypeScript line numbers. Is that right?
Yes. Doesn't well, this might be a slightly dumb question. Could we find an equivalent library in TypeScript?
Well, we're not using a library right now, right? We're just using.
I mean,
the underlying node stuff.
like the error stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's in that Stack Overflow post. There's another library called Call a Call Site, but whether that works with that one, whether that works with TypeScript or not, we'd be trying it out, I guess. I'm interested to know how the library that we're using in the main branch that's got the bug in it, how that does do the source mapping.
What was that one called?
I don't know. I was going to just go back to the main branch to look for myself because I can't remember. So stack chain is the other one, isn't it? The stack chain's the one that we tried, which doesn't understand source maps.
The stack trace.
I don't know. I'm still reading code. Sorry.
That's it.
Because I'm in the. Maybe if I. Yeah, stack trace JS was what we were using. Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to use this library called stack trace GPS, which is a dependency of stack trace JS, and that is specifically about getting a stack frame and then returning a version with a sort of updated, more accurate location, as it says, using source maps.
Uh-huh. So that's quite helpful, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it could be.
So maybe we could just lean on that bit of the stack frame library and just use the stack frame GPS now to tidy up the stack frame that we've got.
Right.
Possibly, although it does seem to have a bit of a dependency on the core stack frame library.
Well, so you might not be able to use it without using both, so we might be back to having to try and fix the stack frame library.
Not exactly. If we're only using the stack frame library to construct the stack frame object.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it could be, using that because it basically you've got stack traces. That's the library that we're using directly. Stack frame is kind of the model that underpins it by the look of things, and then this stack trace GPS is what fixes the location. So yeah, I think you're dead right, Demi. You could just lean on that bit of it and still take care of the rest ourselves. That seems like a good direction to try. And
Yeah.
we've got a dependency on that as it is indirectly, so it's not like we're really bringing in anything new as such.
Is that right then? So
So-
when they do stack frame equals new stack frame, is that the returning the node type rather than their own custom type?
It's their custom type. The stack frame is their custom type. But we could load all of this information manually.
Right. So the thing that you pass into pinpoint just has to quack like it has to have the same shape as a one of their stack frames rather than the
Yes.
the node one.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to read their code now to work out where their types are defined.
And honestly, if we wanted to avoid them entirely, we could just see what their get map application is doing.
Yeah, that's an exciting one. Get map location. It's got a method for finding the source mapping.
That looks
Yes.
pretty.
Extract info from source map.
Yeah, it looks like it did actually quite some work to get there, which honestly,
Yes, although as I skim the code, it looks to me like it's mostly sort of generic, and the fact that there's a lot of it because it's dealing with different use cases, which we might not have the situation of here. I'm trying to work out what their source map consumer is. Is that complicated? I don't know. I've never tried to consume a source map before. Have you, David?
Not directly. I mean, I think they're using the source map package there, which I think is pretty standard. It looks like that get source map consumer function is like a sort of mostly sort of a bit of a cache and sort of facade around what that library does by the look of it.
So we'd need the source map library at least, and maybe we could just use that.
Yeah, potentially. Essentially.
Should we give it a try?
Yeah, I think
I'm going to start looking at the
shot.
docs for the source map package now. Oh, right, that source map consumer is an object that comes from that library.
Yeah.
So we could maybe use the stack frame library and stack frame GPS library just as inspiration for how to use it, just examples for how to use it rather than actually including that library in our code.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Demi, do you want to try adding source map as a dependency then?
Okay.
So we need to get out of this debugger thing.
That's on npm, right?
Install source hyphen map.
Whoa.
Are we going to have to get the
Right.
types from somewhere else, David, do you think?
That's a good question. Depends. A lot of them ship their own these days. I think the page on npm will tell you.
Does it? How does it tell you?
Yeah, so
Well, this was last published 3 years ago, so that seems unlikely.
right. Although, so are you on npmjs.com/package/source map? Yeah. So you see the little TS icon next to the title.
Oh right. Yeah.
So yeah, they ship their
That
own
means
types.
they're built into it, right?
Right. And I guess it's just like stable.
So we were
I mean,
using
look at
source
the usage.
hyphen map, Demi. Source hyphen map.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, this is what we want the whole Node.js ecosystem to end up like, isn't it? Didn't need to be touched for 3 years.
Yeah, it's certainly being used.
Yeah.
I think it's transitively in like Webpack, which means it's kind of everywhere.
So the thing we don't know about is like, where is the source map on disk? And that call site stacktrace GPS has got a function for finding the source map. Find source mapping URL. So what do they do? They use the source. What's the source? This.get file name. What does that do? Goodness knows. Did the source maps just get dumped somewhere on disk?
It varies. Sometimes they're in a file that sits adjacent to the built file. Sometimes they're inlined in a sort of a specially formed comment at the bottom. I'm not sure how that's
It depends
sort of
on what we've got
figured
configured
out.
in our TS config, maybe.
For us, yeah. I mean, this is dealing with the user code as well, though, right? So I don't think that would be known to us.
Yeah, because we're looking at their step definitions.
Although, I mean, if it's like a just-in-time transpiler like TS Node, I'm not even really totally sure how that works, but because it's just kind of in
So
memory.
they do provide a way to get the source map on the machine. You just have to give it. They have a source map generator thing, except you want to find it yourself without using what they provide. But if we're using a library, we might as well use their source map generator anyway.
Oh, I'm furiously reading docs. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's doing.
Because it feels to me like generating a source map, is that not what you do if you were trying to create one? Whereas what we want to do is consume one that's already been generated, but we don't know where it would be necessarily.
Yeah,
And
I think
now,
that's
are we
right.
back to wanting to maybe use this GPS library then? Because that takes care of that stuff for us.
Yeah, so it looks like what that backtrace GPS library does is grabs from the stack frame, gets hold of the contents of the file and looks for the source mapping URL in it. So, like, if you look at any of the built files in Cucumber.js, like the JavaScript that we output, it's in lib. It's got this, the last line, the last non-blank line has got this comment on it that's like source mapping URL, and that'll either be like the source map inlined or it'll be the relative path to a file. So it's basically grabbing that and then going from there. That's what it looks to me anyway on first glance.
Do you two know what you need to be doing?
Not entirely sure actually.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still just reading a little bit.
Same.
I can tell you the Twitch stream comments. Somebody called Oxidecimal says, I'm glad to see these sorts of problems are universal and it's not just me that seems to get stuck and spend lots of time sorting out stuff like this. Yes.
Yeah.
This is at least half of what computer programming is, isn't it?
So I think like a way forward could be to kind of, have a look at the source of this backtrace GPS thing and maybe just start to cherry pick some of the functions out of here that it uses to locate the source map and transform the
Right.
or use the source map library to then do the transformation. And yeah, I mean, I think if we've got a test that fails now that we can just use as our kind of canary and just keep chipping away at that.
Right.
So you're suggesting we keep copying and pasting code basically over from this GPS library, David, rather than bringing the whole library in?
I think it's worth trying that for a bit and seeing if we can get some thin sliver to work, right? And then just see what we're missing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good way to understand how it works, anyway.
Yeah. So the first thing I suppose is trying to find the source map. Well, what does that get pinpoint or get mapping location function do? Get mapped location, that's what it's called, get mapped location. Can you search for that in here? Yeah, now you know in GitHub nowadays you can actually command click on these methods the same way as you would in an IDE, and it'll take you to the it'll try and take you to the source of it. So if you find anywhere where it's being called, here, and try and it should can you command click or control click or something?
Just click, I think.
There you go.
And yeah.
And you could look. Yeah, I would use the bottom one because that's the one in the source folder.
Yeah, it's in the same file. At the bottom of the file.
Yeah.
So it takes the stack frame. It turns
Which
a
it's
promise
using to get the file name.
Yes.
Right.
And it's got a handle of its source cache. And then it does something called this.get file name.
Which I think that this.get is basically going to do it will try and see if it's in Node or in the browser, and then do like an AJAX request if it's in the browser to get the file. So that's obviously a lot of stuff we probably don't need to do. We can probably just fs.read file or whatever, right? Just in the short term. And then once we've got the contents of the file, there's that find source mapping URL, which is basically just pattern matching for that comment. And then once it finds that, if it's a data URI, then unwrapping that, which they sometimes are.
But it consumes the source, and the source gets passed to it.
Yeah, so what David just said, I might just mansplain what David said. I think that what's happening on line 322 is just literally they take the path of the source file and just like open the actual, the source code. So we could just read the file off the disk, and that would get us the
All right.
that would get us the actual source code, but then we'd need to find the URL, and then what do you do with the URL? You get a consumer, and then you can use the consumer to get once you've got a consumer, then we're sort of almost on the path of being able to use the source frame library, source map library API directly.
Right. So I think a good next little milestone would probably be that we can successfully grab the file name off the call site in our code and get the contents of the file and have those in a string, and then that'll be a good bit of progress, I think.
Yeah.
So that's what the source is. The source is just the file.
Right. Yeah, I think so. Just literally the string of that code. Yeah.
And just to call attention to time, we've booked this session for another 4 minutes. So whether it's possible to achieve any of that in the next 4 minutes, I don't know. What do you two want to do?
I'm good to go a little over. I probably need to drop in about 15, 20 minutes.
Demi,
I'm good to go over as well.
Neither of you or I have had our breakfast, have we? Are you all right to go over a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I've been munching at my cookies all day, so I think I'm
super healthy. Well, I've got some lukewarm tea left here, so I can keep going for another 10 minutes. So I've got some kids I need to go and give attention to, but I can give it another 10, 15 minutes. All right. Well, so should we try and aim to do that then? Try and read the file into a source variable and then see where we get from that.
sound good.
Are you okay to keep on being the driver, Demi?
Yeah, if that's all right.
It's fine with us. Yeah, I just know it can be a bit tiring when it's always you typing in.
Yeah. So we should. This function, specific function, is getting a little bit overloaded, so we should probably like extract this next bit into a different function, if that's all right. What do you think?
What do we want to put in a function?
Just like getting the source, the file as a string, and also like pretty much what they're doing, but making sure we're not putting it all in here.
To be honest, I don't mind putting it all in here right now, just and then we can tidy it up afterwards. But
sounds good.
Yeah. So we want to get the file name first, right? Which is from stack1.getFilename.
Right.
Because stack 0 was the you have to call it
the current file.
Yeah, you need to call get file name, so you need the open close parens on the end of line 26.
All right. And then we read the content of the file.
Yeah, which David's going to tell you what the magic node incantation is for reading the contents of a file. Get read file sync or something, is it? FS read file sync.
Yeah, that would be the simplest, I think.
Where
we have to import FS. It's a part of the standard library, so we need to add it at the top of the file.
I think it automatically does it for you if you just decide to use it like that.
You can try. Woo!
All right.
Yeah, so pass read file sync the file name. I still think you need to call get file name rather than just on line 27. We're just naming the method at the moment. We're not actually.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Right. So now that source should be a string that contains the whole contents of that file. And that's going to include source map comments at the bottom, is it, when the transpiler's finished with it?
It calls it a buffer. Oh, because it's from read file. But how aren't you supposed to do some extra processing to this?
I think if you give it a second argument, which is an options object, I think if you give it an encoding or a content type or something like that, then it will give you a string back. You can probably find an example somewhere else in this code base, to be honest, like even just in tests or something. I've got a feeling if you just give it like hang on a sec.
Oh, it just uses read file. Just read file.
Yeah, read file is the async version, but I think there you go. That second argument just as the string UTF-8 is enough to be like, oh, you want the string back, not the buffer, and it tells it how to decode it.
All right. That's a string there. Okay. And then using the source, we want the source mapping URL. And that's regex. I'm gonna save the regex expression first of all. That's right.
Somebody posted in the Twitch comments that there's a library that looks like it might have some overlap with what we're doing. I don't think we should change course right now, but it might be worth just having a look at it later.
All right. And just hack it at this right now. That's not vital, but let source mapping URL equals source mapping URL. All right, now things get a little bit weird. So it seems we have the source mapping URL. We have just about everything until here. And then this part is what confuses me. I pretty much understood everything we're doing until now, but this part sort of throws me off.
That doesn't look like something we need because this seems to be for if it was running in a browser.
Yeah, I think so too.
So can we just
all right, so it just seems we need the source mapping URL and the default source root. So it says we can use the source map consumer in here. Or so what were you folks trying to get to after we've gotten the, because it seems we have the source map URL now, but what they do here is they use their source map consumer with the URL and the default source root. But I'm a little bit confused how we'd use that with what they have here.
Sorry, Demi, I didn't catch a lot of that for some reason. Could you go again?
So in Stacktrace GPS, once they had the source map URL and they had the source root and all that stuff, they just used their source map consumer, and were able to get the, I guess, the stack frame from that. What are we using this source map thing for? How are we going to be consuming? Because it seems I've hit sort of a dead end as to how I transform this to that.
So that get source map consumer function, if you go to the source of that, because from what I remember, that wasn't doing, that was sort of getting you an instance of the source map consumer class from that source map library. I think most of the rest of what's going on here is just like keeping a cache of them, which we don't have to worry about right now. So we get the URL and default source root, and then pretty much it looks like we then load the content of the source map from the source mapping URL. So that's happening on 241. And then that gets us the actual text of the source map. And then that gets passed into the source map consumer constructor. Is that what do you guys think of my read of that? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm with you so far. I'm not sure here what the consumer object you say. So this is using a source map consumer, and passing it the source map source, and the source map source has come from.
Wait, where do you see the? Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Source map.
Exactly.
Right. So that source map consumer is the class that comes from this library that we just pulled in, I think.
Yeah. And the
so it seems we have to use that.
What's that?
It's something from the Git.
So we loaded the JavaScript file content before, and we parsed out the source map URL from it, Now we're loading the source map content, which may be in another file, or it may be a data URI. I think that was covered a minute ago. So again, we're loading up that file and grabbing the content from it.
Oh shoot. Yeah. So we're loading the source map file, but how are we getting the source map file? Because I think they only uses get if it's a network request, or if it's source cache location.
We should be able to pretty much do what we did before, I think, and just get it from the file system.
What do you mean?
So let's go to our code for a minute.
All right.
Yeah, okay, so we've pulled this source mapping URL out there. We've got a handle on that. And I think like that should look like a path or a URL that we can load the content of, like we did up on line 29.
Oh.
Instead of loading the JavaScript file content, we're loading the companion source map content.
Right.
And I think, but that I think should be, the first argument there should be then source mapping URL, I think, because that's what we just.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Right. So we've loaded the source code. We've loaded the source code. We've looked inside it for the source mapping URL, and then we're loading the source mapping URL, which might be the same file, but we don't know. I can't believe there's not a library that lets you do that.
So, all right. On that note, so we're just using this source map then?
Yeah, so we should now be able to point the source map, like construct a new source map from that.
Did I already do this?
I don't know. Do it again. It doesn't do any harm.
And all we really want is just the location, right? Or yeah, the line number.
Oh no. Were we in a promise here?
Would that be a problem?
I don't know. That's what they're showing us there. The library, the GPS library, uses source, just does a new source map, doesn't it? Or
new source map consumer. Yeah. So this is. I'm not sure what makes that one need to be async, but yeah, we could try it the way they've done it there on 249.
I don't think you need to do that name spacing here. I think that's just the way that they're loading that library. I think you would find just going straight for the type. And then pass it that source map. The little s though, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, what's wrong with that? No. As raw source map? Like, what is a raw source map? Oh.
Interesting.
Isn't it?
So that's
This stuff?
that's like a JavaScript object, isn't it? Oh, they do a JSON parse somewhere in their thingy. So maybe we need to JSON parse. I'm sure I saw a call to parse JSON somewhere in this library where they were doing this. So maybe we there,
Right.
line 243.
Okay.
Oh God! Look, and they're replacing. They're replacing all the
Hey, boy.
brackets with nothing.
And why are they making their own parse JSON? Oh, they're just.
No.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
so
yeah,
it can run
yeah,
in the browser again.
yeah. But they do replace. So we had to replace it first and then parse it. But none of the things they're replacing is the parentheses. Okay.
It might make sense if you had a source map file to look at, you maybe see what it was doing.
Yeah. Should we
So
console
I'm
log
just about out of time. I've got to drop and go pick a kid up. But thanks very much for asking me, Matt. This was really a lot of fun. I know more about source maps than I did an hour and a half ago.
I do too. I know more about source map than I have in my entire life.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I think we're going to get there one way or the other with this issue. We'll definitely have a look at that. See if we can lean on that source map support thing somehow as well. But yeah, it's been cool.
It's been my reflection was I was a bit disappointed in the diversity balance of the group, because it was like two senior white guys from the Cucumber team and only Demi. But actually it's been really nice for me to be able to like watch the Twitch stream and do stuff like that, because I'm not the only mentor in the group, which has been the case in all of the other ones. So it was really nice. Thanks for showing up, David, in that way. And it was great that Sheriff turned up, even if it was briefly. And I wonder whether some of the people who are watching the Twitch stream would like to just join us next time. Maybe we should put the Zoom URL somewhere more public so people can just jump in if they want to. How's it been for you, Demi?
It's been a lot of fun. Definitely some mind-boggling parts of this for sure. Seeing things fly around, but I'm glad I was able to follow what was happening and not just be entirely lost. Some things may go over my head, but for the most part, I was able to track what was happening. So
good. Well, that's the benefit of having you driving, isn't it? We can't get it through your fingers without you understanding roughly what's going on. So that makes sure we work at the appropriate pace for everyone. I kind of need to go as well, so we might need to just drop this as it is.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
What would you like me to do on this one?
It might be helpful to push this change somewhere, just so we can all see it where it is, even if it's half done.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And Demi, anytime you want to pick this up, just one-to-one even, just ping me.
Sounds good.
But we'll see if we can organise this. I mean, if this time works for you, we could do this next week as well, same time, and
It should.
just keep rolling. All right, good. Well, let's look forward to that.
Okay.
Right, thanks
then.
everyone. I'm gonna stop the stream.
Really good to meet you, Demi. And
You as well.
all right. Have a good one. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers. Stop the stream. Where is the stream thing? Where is it? I had this last time. There's this bit at the end of the stream of me just going, "How do I stop OBS?" Ended up having to just force quit the process. I think in the end because it had gone beach ball on me. Here it is. Stop streaming. Okay, Demi. I'll see you soon.
All right.